There's a doggy who's ready to be free. Oh, there he is. Oh, good morning. Oh, my. He's always excited to get up in the morning, but he's doubly excited when I come back from the gym and I stink. Let's take outside. Oh, come on. Yeah, oh, yeah. So it's almost the season of goal setting. As you might know, every year I buy a couple champagne bottles and I write my goals for the year on them. And then whenever I actually achieve those goals, we pop the bottle, assuming I ever achieve those goals, because there's one of those bottles that I've had for a very long time. And I'm not sure I'm ever gonna, I will pop it at some day. One of the private goals that I've had that I've never really shared is in this little notebook right here. And I haven't opened this in a very long time, but I'm guessing it's the right notebook. Yeah, it's the 2022 Reclaiming the Fun. How cheesy is that? In this little notebook, wow, 2.5, who knows how many years ago. I don't think I actually put a real date in this. Oh no, this is at the beginning of 2022. So this is like a very old book with some old plans and maps and ideas of how to reclaim fun in my life. Cooper's pooping, so I need to go catch that really quick. Oh, that's a big one, buddy. Oh. Oh. The first thing that you probably noticed, well, my favorite part about this is the map that I drew. This goes back to my initial thoughts about like road tripping. I had a couple of weddings that I wanted to actually road trip through, and I drew this massive map of like, you know what, I want to road trip for like a couple of months. I think this would be really, really fun. I'm gonna go to one wedding in the south of France, and then I'm gonna find my way all the way through Spain to take the ferry into Morocco to go to another wedding, and then I'm gonna go on another ferry all the way as far east as I can, hopefully all the way to Turkey, and then drive all the way back to Paris. That was that one. And then the other one in here is I started drawing some kind of like plans for like the chateau dream, like this dream of having a chateau, sharing it with friends, like how maybe different people could play different roles and like building out like the coffee roastery or a winery or all these other things, and like just kind of penciling out all the different like costs that you would need and trying to do some research to figure out how to make it happen. There's a stamp in here and a girl's phone number that I'm not going to show you, somebody that I met when I was in Idaho. I just was kind of taking notes as I went, and it's funny how this like goes into the summer of being different ideas for how we can collaborate and make this whole thing happen, and then it skips from June all the way to December when I guess I took some notes for a meeting with Jeff when I didn't have any other notebook handy to do them. The funny thing about this notebook is, well, I really enjoyed drawing obviously when I was making it, but it focuses on dreams. Like really big goals, huge things. Stuff that maybe I could have done in 2022, but wasn't very likely, to be honest. Bonjour, monsieur. Un demi, s'il vous plaît. Of course, this actually ties into something that's pretty consistent in my life, which is overreaching for happiness. Oui, s'il vous plaît. Et la sauce avec? Un peu, oui. Which ties directly into a subject we will be getting into in detail here shortly, and that is my childhood and the delights that came from that. But Christmas is a particularly rough time for me as a recovering whatever the heck is wrong with me. Christmas is hard for me because as a kid, well, I mean, it's hard for me for a lot of reasons, but when I was a kid, I would ask for stuff that I wanted. I would quite literally never get it. But for me as a kid, like I would ask for just little things that I wanted, you know, and I would never get them. And as a result, I kind of became a little snot about it. So whenever my parents would ask me, well, what do you want for Christmas? I would ask for the most outlandish things I could think of, like yachts and fighter jets and I don't even know what all. And at the bottom of the list, I'd put like the cheapest thing, you know, but the thing that I really wanted, like a Super Nintendo or a camera or something like that. And in the end, I would get like an orange and socks and, you know, bed sheets or something, because apparently if you don't really need it, you know, you don't really need it, I guess. That's not what I wanted to happen. And I'm not kidding. I would get like toothpaste and a toothbrush as a stocking stuffer. With an orange, you know, that actually, I never really kind of realized the juxtaposition of that being as messed up as it is, but you can see why I would struggle with Christmas just as a current example. But I think that kind of infected the way that I looked at happiness as a whole. I think I started to just reach for things that were impossible because I felt like what was right in front of me, the small things that could make me happy here and now, were unattainable on their own. So why not like shoot for the literal stars? I think that's kind of where I found myself in this last relationship a little bit too, was waiting for something to happen, which was one of the signs that maybe it wasn't going to go so well. And it was just mostly because I think when, she asked if we could be exclusive pretty early on, very early on, pretty much out of the gate. And I decided to go for that. That was my choice. But, doing so means making space for the other person. How do I do this without it all falling over? Oh my God. And so I found myself, it was sitting in this space that I'd made for someone else, just kind of waiting for stuff to happen, largely because she just kind of kept postponing or canceling on me, which is when things started to feel like, uh-oh, this is going downhill. But it was a good reminder that generally in life, that's really not how I want to spend my time. What am I sitting around waiting for happiness to come find me, or why am I projecting it out into a distant future that may never come when I could have it right now? I think. What are you doing? Come here. Which then also means that things that I'm not a huge fan of, like Christmas, can ultimately be restored and should be. But the two things that have helped with that have been realizing, one, there doesn't have to be any pressure. I don't have to like Christmas if I don't want to. And two, I can do it kind of in whatever way I please. And thankfully, I have a sister who buys really, really good Christmas ornaments. So the joy comes back on its own. The upside to having fake garland, is this garland? This is garland. Anyways, the upside to fake tree stuff is that you can keep it for a long time. The downside is you have to kind of unfold it after you've crinkled it up so that it looks all big and bushy again. As an aside, while we're here, I completely forgot. It would have made total sense, and I kind of regret this, that during the Notre Dame video that I made, I definitely had an opportunity there to just say, hey, Notre Dame is in the first day of our 48-hour itinerary, which is totally free. You can go grab it. And I was having a great time, and I was definitely a little bit overwhelmed by the whole experience. So it's understandable, but I'll put a link to that below if you didn't notice. It's got like everything you want to do touristy wise in Paris in your first 48 hours, but then of course mixing it up with like great coffee and food and everything along the way, so you still get off the beaten path and enjoy Paris like I would if I were going to go do all the fun touristy stuff, the major stuff. And then I tell you what to skip, obviously, as well, because like the Champs-Elysees, nobody needs to go there. But we've been working behind the scenes, and this is kind of one of the hard things about this year too. We were really hoping to get more itineraries done for people, not just the tailored ones, which we've been doing and having a lot of fun, but in between some others set, like a day in Montmartre, a day in the Latin Quarter, and a day for book lovers, like wandering through central Paris and into the left bank. We put a lot of work into those things. They're wonderful. We were going to sell them for like $60 each, but this is what led to the technological woes that I referenced the other day, which is that it's really hard when you built your own website, your own application, your own whatever, to make fundamental modifications to it later. And we discovered that really well through the whole pricing situation, because we'd only ever sold the guide. We had never sold anything else. And adding other things to that really complicates things a lot. And we have some really fun stuff that we're looking forward to adding, but wow. So anyways, you probably heard me talk about the tailored itineraries. I've made a few dozen of them at this point. People seem to love them. We get really good reviews from people. I'm really grateful that people trust me with a day or two of their time in Paris, and especially when we get off the beaten path into the parts of Paris that very few people really know or ever visit, and I get to send you to some of my favorite spots that like I would go to, that I do go to. I actually ran into some people doing an itinerary because I forgot that I had told them basically exactly what I was going to be doing that weekend, the way that I organized the itinerary, which is really fun. So anyways, if you're interested, you can get the free one below, but I'm also putting a link that's like /plan, and that one will get you an email contact with Emily, and she'll talk with you a little bit to see if you're a good fit for the tailored itineraries, because they are more expensive. They start at a few $100 because we really put a lot of time and effort into them. They take a fair amount of work. But if you're interested in getting one of those other ones I mentioned, like the Latin Quarter, Montmartre, or the Book Lovers days in Paris, we don't have it set up to do it technically, and Jeff is gonna kill me when he finds out that we did this on the side, but we'd really love to get some of those in your hands if you're interested. So feel free to let her know in the email straight out of the gate, hey, I really want one of those single day itineraries, and then she'll hook you up that way as well. And we'll make it work. It's just been kind of sad that they've been sitting, they're really good, really proud of it. I think we did a great job. And while we can have fun in work, I forgot that I had a Vincent van Gogh. I don't know where this ornament came from. I don't remember. I should know. I feel like this one has a story to it, and I'm forgetting what it is. Oh gosh, apparently Vincent's a little heavy.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Look, not to sound like a Hallmark Christmas card here, but when life's got you down and the big things just keep on crashing all around you and life feels really, really challenging, sometimes it's just the little things that make all the difference, right? And I've lost that along the way. Like, not to make this like a Jay's recovering from a breakup video, because I'm actually doing... Now there's no way if I say I'm doing really well, anyone's gonna believe me, but genuinely, I'm actually doing really well. One of the things that I've learned through a series of breakups, because I've been single most of my life, has been not to lose myself in relationships, and it's hard, right? Like, you get to know somebody and you wanna please them, and you don't want your true self necessarily to push them away. But in reality, it's the true self that is all you really have, especially long term. And again, not to sound cheesy, but if you want to fall in love with somebody, you want to fall in love with somebody for who they really are, and you want them to fall in love for who you really are, because otherwise you're going to have to keep up a charade for a very, very long time. And there's a part of me that's really goofy, that likes to have fun, and that likes to just enjoy the moment that did get lost along the way. And that's a story for another time, I suppose. Chalk that up for Dorian's bingo card today. But I was kind of inspired by Nick Offerman, Ron Swanson, as it were, who was talking about how he knew that it was going to be a really long road to success. And the only way to get there was to figure out how to be happy in the moment, to really enjoy the ride. And I think I'm finally getting there, but it means I also have to take small actions throughout the day to just stop and enjoy what I have in front of me, and to stop thinking that happiness is something coming my way if only I could get to it. And then when we, stop and enjoy the little things in life, it's amazing how much richer it suddenly feels. He's a good little helper. So I haven't figured out what my goals for champagne bottles are yet, but I do think that this year, they're not gonna be around big things that I have to work really hard to attain out in the future, so much as little things that I want to try and incorporate every day. How do I bring back music into my life? Singing, laughter, silly voices, dancing, dressing Cooper up like an elf. Thanks again to Adam for buying this ridiculous costume. All right, those are your legs. You're not supposed to wave at that. Here's his hands. I kind of want to think about it less in terms of achievement, because I'm going to achieve things. I'm going to get there. I'm not going to stop. I want to enjoy the ride getting there a lot more than I have been. So what are the building blocks for that? The first building block is having a Cooper Nutcracker, but the second building block is probably going to be gratitude. Not to get into the cheese factory here a little bit more, but taking stock of what we already have, I think, is one of the greatest bulwarks we have against grand dissatisfaction, especially in times of our life where we feel like things are out of our control and we really don't know what to do to make it better. And for me, I thankfully, I already have a lot of things to be thankful for. A lot of costume changes in this video, I realize, but I think, that can also be a building block of joy. Costume changes. Close. I was gonna look up a Patron producer. I was gonna say the next building block, why am I sticking with this, is friends. Which we have more friends coming, so we can do that with friends. But who's the Patron producer? Ali Herbert. Merry Christmas. Patron producer. Your favorite of the Alis? Even if things do feel a little bit rough at times, and life right now is pretty challenging, I have to get stock in the gratitude department of the fact that I get to do fun, random stuff like this. So even if it's really stressful at home and at work, then suddenly I'm drinking champagne in the ambassador's residence, and that's not such a bad thing at all. It's a nice end of the year party to be invited to. My life is pretty weird and crazy in some fun ways, and I've come a long ways, and it's nice to be able to see, whether that's through work, through creation, through the development of community and friendships, just how much farther along things are, so that even though I have a gut reaction to oh crap, things are really, really rough right now, and it gives me flashbacks to when times have been hard before, I can fall back on the remembrance. I can fall back on the comfort. Things may be rough, but things are also so much better.
Oh, cheers, guys. Cheers. Cheers. You look gorgeous. Thanks, you too. Follow me. Not. Yeah.
I'm gonna censor all of that.
Censor all of that.